So this is something that came out of a workshop with Baywork. It was a meeting we went to, and they said, you know what, if you're going to reach out to K through 12, you have to have the Common Core standards listed. So I'd like to give thanks to Vanessa Garcia, who went through and figured out exactly which Common Core standards this curriculum meets. So that's great, right? So that's for you guys. But we also have learning outcomes as well at the community college level. And I'll get more into that later, but our learning outcomes are communication, problem solving, and what we call multiple representations. If we could go, yes. So do you notice something different about this problem than you might see in a typical textbook?
Lots more verbiage.
A lot more words, right? And so you guys can actually jump to this page in your packet. It's called the Perfect Storm Worksheet. So you can follow along here. We're not going to read this together, but it's in that tab 3. What you'll see is a lot of words, right? And that's done on purpose. You'll also see a lot of vocabulary, words like actual output or expected output, for those of you guys who are more chemistry, maybe physics related, and done a lot of lab work. So a lot on communication. That's a key element. Would you guys in the industry agree that it's one thing to be able to pass a test, it's another thing to actually write a report that people can understand? Yeah. Right? That's probably one of the most important things that we look for when we're doing interviews. And so I would love to be able to add an English Common Core to this as well. Another really important aspect we wanted to create a theme around was the concept of multiple representations. And so multiple representations means tables, graphs, and lines. So right on page 1 we see a table. But notice something interesting about that table. It's incomplete. Right? And so this worksheet isn't about a lecture, it's an interactive thing which you can do in groups, or you can do as an interactive lecture style depending on where your students are at. But you'll be filling in this table as you go through. And then the last thing is problem solving. Did you guys agree that problem solving is important? Yes. In the industry as well. And so we have a scaffolded problem solving. We use Polya's approach in doing problem solving, this 4-step approach. And Los Vedanos has been doing contextualized learning for about 20 years, and that's how I learned how to do what I do. And you'll see as you follow the prompts that it's a nice scaffolded problem solving approach. And then can you, I don't know if we have the, okay. The last thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned is at the very end of this packet, which you guys will have access to, the very end of the exercise, there's a whole thing on writing a letter to the boss, explaining exactly what happened, summarizing what happened, and making suggestions, right? Something that you might do in a report. And I know this because I asked Grant and I said, hey, is this something you guys might need to do? And he said, yeah, of course, if you can't summarize. And by the way, the CSU said the number one need that students have to have in order to be successful is the ability to summarize. Again, this English standard. So what we try to do with this curriculum is have these strong themes, but also to create some cross-collaboration with English and the sciences as well.